Welcome back, everybody, to the Home Turf Podcast. It's me, Hunter Mitchell, joined here once again, as always, my co-host, Cade Harris.
How's it going? We doing well today on this fine Tuesday evening, morning?
It was a rough weekend for Aggie
It
sports.
was. Luckily, we're not talking A&M football on this podcast, but
Yeah,
just in general,
it
wasn't the greatest.
The vibes were thrown off.
Yeah, mainly specifically on Saturday.
Yeah, it was not great, but we're looking forward to the future.
We got to move on, baby. Move on.
One team that has been a pretty I don't want to say surprising, because I think we were aware that the pieces were there, but been a high note so far this season.
The words I would use are promising and exciting.
Yes, exactly. It's been our volleyball team,
exactly.
Texas A&amp volleyball. Jay Morrison's first year coming in, and I mean, it looks like he's so far done a pretty damn good job.
Oh yeah, I mean, starting off the season 6-0, and then obviously falling in their last game to TCU, but still, I think it's the best start in program history in a while. For one,
it started 7-0.
Started 7-0. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
7-0,
and then lost to TCU.
Yeah, which was really a game they probably should have won, but I mean, volleyball is one of those weird sports where sometimes
anyone can kind of beat anybody.
Yeah,
right?
Sometimes you just have a bad game sometimes, and then
Long Beach State beat Texas early in the season.
Exactly.
So.
Sometimes you just have weird days, and sometimes like your strengths completely outshine, take advantage of the weaknesses of the other team.
Yeah, it's very much a matchup sport.
Exactly. Which, in terms of matchup, I think what has impressed me most so far about A&M this early season is last season it felt like we could not contest at the net defensively. It really felt like anyone could just get anything past A&M, and that relied a lot. That meant like a lot of defensive plays and having saves and digs and flying over the floor, and so it really seemed like A&M's defense last year was kind of willy-nilly, but this year
they're a little bit taller at the net.
Hold on.
Use them. I
don't remember which one's the left track.
No.
No, that's not
it. No, that's like a breaking news sound. We'll learn out this soundboard sometime before the end of the semester. We'll figure out the soundboard.
But so in terms of total team blocks, A&M ranks. Let's see, A&M is 29th in the country in total team blocks. In individual stats, blocks per set, Afene Cossack Paula, number 1 in the country in blocks per set, with two blocks per set.
That's crazy, and especially with her not even being the tallest girl there in the middle, and she's blocking well. Her and Ital have just looked really impressive, especially this past weekend. They were. I mean, it didn't seem like anyone was getting anything past the net. They were blocking everything.
Yeah, there was a stretch against
was it Utah State? Yeah,
where they blocked like 3 or 4 in a row.
It was crazy.
And just, I mean, not like block where it kind of bounces off and then lands behind the defender and like, oh no, I mean
they were like boom, slams,
like slammed down, like that is going nowhere. And so it's like really good to see. I mean, A&M is number 5th in the country in blocks per set at 3.04, and good company ahead of them. In the 4 spots, Texas.
Okay.
Number 3 is Loyola Marymount, Penn State, and then Pitt.
Wow. So that's 3 out of those 4 teams there are all top 15 teams.
Yeah. So that's good company.
That is good company. So yeah, I mean, if they can keep up that blocking rate, who knows what can happen come SEC play, and especially even who knows what can happen this week.
Yeah. And then not only that, offensively, number 12 in the country in assists per set, which they've kind of been running the 2-setter thing in and out with Nisa Buzultepe, who I thought was going to kind of be the runaway starter. But subbing in freshman Margot Manning, who has looked both of them. I mean, I understand why Coach Morrison keeps going back and forth, because neither of them really seem to have any glaring issues. I mean, they both seem to be really solid at what they do. So keep it up. I mean, like if it keeps working, it's working. I mean, number 12 in the country in assists is awesome, and it shows in hitting percentage too. Number 16 in the country in hitting percentage at 295. That was before this weekend where they were up like top 5 in the country in hitting percentage. So it dropped a little bit, but I mean,
these are very encouraging stats. Not only, I mean, yeah, they're not playing top 25 teams yet. They haven't played
yeah,
a ranked team yet, but they're not playing like gimme games either. They're all playing against teams that
hmm
like made the NCAA tournament last year, dominating their conference, and I think most of these games have been against teams that made the NCAA tournament. And,
yeah.
so these are all very encouraging stats against decent competition. So I mean, yeah, if they can keep it up and keep improving on these stats, we could be doing some bracketology at the end of the season.
I surely hope so. I mean, that would. I mean, obviously that's the goal. That's the goal for any team
Mm-hmm.
playing volleyball. But man, it would be really something if we could get to talk about A&M volleyball making it in the postseason because it's been a little bit.
Just a little bit ever since they made that Sweet 16 run.
Yeah, and it's just been from there, just kind of gone down,
Yeah,
and trying to give for a little bit of resurgence. But I really think that starts Wednesday for sure.
huge matchup. Big 12 team coming to town
Yeah, it's weird
in
saying
in
that.
Houston. That it.
Not
Okay,
used
the
to
the
that yet.
lights just turned off in here. That's something. I guess we can continue this podcast in the dark,
Keep it
but
rolling.
let's do it. Yeah. So Big 12 team coming into town, top 25 team coming into town in the Houston Cougars. They finished 30-4 last season. Lost in the Sweet 16 to Stanford, which is by no means
Yep,
a
and that's
bad thing because
don't want to say
Stanford is a volleyball powerhouse.
don't want to say understandable Sweet 16 loss,
Right.
but I mean that one
That is
surprises
very
no one.
understandable. And then they're returning their starting setters, it looks like Morgan Jonda and Annie Cook.
Yeah, and they kind of run that. It appears like what A&M's doing this year, and Andy Cook and Morgan Jonda, I mean, they back it up. I mean, they're much like how again A&M's running that dual setter thing, but they are proven in it. I mean, if you go back in their last game, that Sweet 16 game, they played against Stanford. I mean, let's pull it up. You have, yeah, see, like in the assist category, Morgan Jonda 14, Annie Cook 11. It's like they kind of bounce back and forth,
Hmm.
um, and I mean, obviously it works, and that's really solid to have two really good returners at the setter position,
Hmm.
especially because I mean they lost Isabel Thute. And tell you,
First team All AAC.
yeah, like middle blocker, which is obviously a tough loss, but you return Abby Jackson,
Hmm.
outside hitter. You return Rachel Tuyos, um, who graduate player,
Hmm.
middle blocker. So you've got it there. They lost Cortland Henderson and Kennedy Warren outside hitting, but they brought in Kenneth Sauer from
Tech.
Texas Tech, who two-time All Big 12 first team player. So like,
I mean, that's the best, if not the second best conference in all of college volleyball. So
yeah,
to be up in that level of the All Big 12 team, that's huge. So yeah, it's definitely a key player there for Houston. I remember I think writing about her, looking at her profile when I was doing like the whole schedule breakdown. And yeah, she should be a problem for the Aggies on Wednesday.
yeah. Then you got Kate Georgiadis. That's how I
Georgettis.
would go about it.
Okay.
Um, you know, 2022 All Athletic Conference Libero of the Year. So defensively, I mean, they lost some experience, middle blocking, but then they keep Rachel Tulos, um, and you got the Libero of the Year behind her. So
Hmm.
defensively, I think they've definitely got some serious weapons there. But offensively is really where it looks like A&M is going to be tested, but I think A&M kind of pairs in that matchup well, at least from what we've seen early in- early this year so far defensively. I think you've got, you know, obviously Ifeanyi Kasakpalda leads the country in blocks per set.
Yeah.
She just always seems to know exactly where the hitters are going to hit the ball and where she can knock it down. Then you got next to her, you know, the Great Wall of Atoll.
Yep. Is that
Uh,
what we're going with now? That's her nickname?
I mean,
Great Wall of
it
Atoll.
feels fitting,
It does.
and it feels really good to see her on the court because I
I
remember seeing
know.
her last year, and I was
I
like,
just see her on the sideline, standing next to her
yeah,
teammates, and I'm like, why don't we just stick her in there? Like,
unable to contest at the net, and I'm like, I have a sneaky feeling she'd probably be able to do
yeah,
that.
seriously.
I think that she'd probably be pretty good at that.
Yeah, maybe.
So I mean, I think defensively it just feels really good to see them out there like that, and I think they match up well into a lot. I mean, Kenneth Sauer is gonna be easily probably their biggest test
Hmm.
they've had. Um, I mean, that is a very serious volleyball player, and then not to be outshine Abby Jackson as well. They've got weapons on the outside, and so it's gonna be. I think that A&M has looked to really kind of like defend at the net more, which is good. But I think that this game they're going to have some defense going on behind them. I think that they're not going to be able to swat down every ball.
Right.
I
It's
think
not going to be as easy as those first two games in the A&M Invitational. Where
Yeah.
it just felt like
just knocking everything down.
yeah. I mean, they couldn't get a ball past our front.
Yeah. So I think that we're going to see more of Lauren Hogan,
Hmm.
Performing like that. Ava Underwood as well. I think those players are ones to really watch out for. And then offensively, it's kind of the weapons that have been carrying him so far. I mean, Logan Lednicki, obviously we knew coming in the season she was going to be really good. Same thing with Caroline Muth, graduate student. She is always going to be a force out there. And then you have returning or sorry, new players.
Manning.
Yeah,
I mean, Atal, I guess, is returning as well. Even
yeah,
though
but I mean, didn't
she
play
didn't
at all.
play
And
at
then you
all,
have
so-
Biana on the outside.
yes.
Freshman as well, who's really been impressing. I think the most impressive part about this season so far is, we knew who was returning, like we knew kind of what we were getting. I think the only one that's really surprised us so far has been Kasakpala.
Yeah, she
I mean,
she had signs last year
Yeah.
of being efficient, but it was never consistent.
It was never leading the country in blocks per set.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
But so she has really stepped up in that role, and that's been like, I think, been the biggest bright spot. But I mean, we knew what we're getting with Logan Lednicki,
Hmm.
Lauren Hogan, Ava Underwood, Caroline Muth, even a little bit of Nisa Buzeltepe because she stepped in a little bit
Last year.
when Karakasi was struggling a little bit last year. So I think, like in terms of that, we knew what we were getting. But I think Margot Manning coming in, looking good. Biana coming in, adding depth at outside hitting position, I think has been like really, really solid additions. And again, I think they match up well in Houston.
I do too.
I think Houston offensively is super stout, but I think like if Kasakpala can at least not necessarily just stop them, but affect them. I think get into some lanes, tip some balls, kind of throw them off their rhythm. Same thing with Atal. I think that they really have a solid shot this game. They can't let it get away from them. Is the most important thing.
No.
They can't let the game get too far ahead, get into some runs. I think offensively they need to be efficient. One thing that noticed a few times, especially in the TCU games, there's a lot of unwarranted sloppy mistakes, like a lot of mistiming a set or not knowing who's going for the ball and just having to chunk one over so they don't get the point kind of thing. I think they will have to be really efficient. I think they will have to be on time offensively, and I think even like Kasakpala and Ital are not just defensively. I think they're going to really need to have to play a part offensively as well.
Yeah, definitely. And not even only in this matchup, I think that Liberty matchup on Friday, I just like
Sneaky.
it is very sneaky. Looking at their resume this year, it's pretty good. They beat a once top 25 Hawaii team.
Mm-hmm.
They're 7-2 on the year, and the losses are excusable. So, I mean, that's going to be another matchup that, like, it could be the Aggies' no third or second toughest matchup so far on the year. Just based off who they've played, I'd probably put TCU at 2 and Houston at 1. Um, but yeah, that's going to be a big matchup for them Friday, and even I think Liberty and Houston play each other Thursday in Reed Arena, so we'll kind of get a little glimpse of what Liberty may be like in that Friday game. But both these games this week are, I think, super important. I'd like to see Reed Arena packed. I need some pack Reed propaganda.
Yeah, I know. Coach Morrison would like to see that same thing, and I mean, it was good turnouts this weekend, and even Coach Morrison acknowledged like TCU game, football's going on, good crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that if he keeps doing what he's doing and A&M volleyball keeps doing what they're doing, that Reed Arena will fill up. And
just us students are always looking for just a winner, just a team to get hot, a team to be fun and fun to go out and watch. Like I can just tell in a student body, like it was evidence in that whole in the basketball team last year, just the way they packed out Reed and everything like that. We're just hungry for a winner, a team that's fun, a team that's bringing excitement to the crowd. Like the students here really do like showing up to sporting events. So if they're winning, it wouldn't surprise me if the stands are full of students throughout the whole year if they can keep this up.
Yeah, it felt really good. One of my favorite things of volleyball is the old Army fight chant. And like last year, like no one did it anymore, and I was like, "What's going on?" And then you go to a game this year, and you hear it on TV, which sounds awesome. Old Army fight, and then it's like, it's so fun. And I think volleyball is such an underrated sport here at A&M, and I think the student body kind of feels the same way, and they really want a volleyball team that they can rally around and cheer on. And I think this weekend is huge testament to that. Liberty, super solid team, like you mentioned, and then of course the Houston matchup, like we said. This may be 2 resume building wins.
Oh, for sure.
On top of
what you've already done. I mean, I would say volleyball is one of the weaker sports for the SEC in general. So you're not going to pick up too many big-time wins unless you're knocking down, the powerhouses in Florida and Kentucky and Arkansas. So yeah, I mean, these are literally the last 2 chances in non-conference to pick up any type of resume-building win before the conference season. So
yeah, well,
make the best of them.
You do get some challenges though in the SEC. You get Florida, you get Kentucky.
You do, but I mean, you have to win. You have to win them
Auburn
to get resume building
exactly.
wins. So,
yeah. And that's the thing. So there's opportunities there, but
the top of the SEC is really really good, and the bottom just isn't great.
Yeah. So I think that this will go a very very long way to show.
I guess towards the end, like at the end of the season, it'll come a long way for what the Aggies are seeded.
Depending on
if that's a reality, the NCAA tournament. These are 2 crucial games for that.
Especially depending on like what the outcome of these 2 games are. I think if you go 2-0 this week, I think that's huge. I mean A&M received votes in AP poll.
It wouldn't surprise me if they go 2-0 and they're ranked next week.
Yeah, maybe sneak in at 25 like that. That would be
That'd
surprise.
Be awesome.
That would be
top 25 college volleyball team back in College Station.
That would be going into conference play would be absolutely monumental. And I think they have the capacity to, and I think they, from what we've seen so far, again, we're going off of limited sample size. From what I've seen, it looks like they have that capacity. They just have to, I'm going to say it, execute.
Oh, no. Oh, man. That's
it's
okay. It's not a football podcast.
The forbidden word. They just really have to go out there and execute, and I think if they do, I think that they have all the weapons to succeed. But we'll see come Wednesday and come Friday.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. That's it for this volleyball episode, this episode of the Home Turf Podcast. Thank you for listening. I'm Hunter Mitchell.
And we're about to turn the lights back on. I'm Cade Harris.
And we'll catch y'all next time.